What is going on YouTube? MattRat103 back here after about a month off with my newest set of UFC predictions. This time around for UFC 160, Velasquez versus Silva 2. And I know I've touched on this the last couple of videos with the UFC 159 and UFC on Fox, the Melendez versus Henderson card, with talking about those. But my job is really killing me when it comes to watching the UFC lately, because the last couple months I've just been working mainly morning shifts, coming in at 8, being gone by 4 or 5 in the afternoon, with the exception last month of the night of UFC 159, where I worked a 5 to 3 in the morning shift, and of course this Saturday where I work a 5 to 3 in the morning shift. So thank you, Taco Bell, for not letting me watch the UFC. But enough of my griping. Let's get to some picks. All right, kicking off the main card this Saturday, we have a lightweight bout between Donald Cowboy Cerrone and KJ Noons. Noons making his UFC debut after coming over from Strikeforce. And I've got Donald Cerrone in this fight. Both fighters are very skilled stand-up fighters. Noons has, I'd say, better hands, but I think Cerrone mixes his kicks in a lot better. Cerrone is also a bit longer of a lightweight. He's got about a 3-inch reach advantage, which should be able to nullify Noons' hands a little bit and allow Cerrone to keep range, especially with his kicks. And if the fight goes to the mat, I definitely have Cerrone there. But, Noons, he's not easy to finish. He's only been finished a couple times in his career very early on. So even if Cerrone is getting the better of the stand-up, even if he takes him down, I think Noons is going to be able to survive to at least make it to a decision. But I think Cerrone's overall MMA game is just a couple steps ahead of what Noons has to offer. So I've got Donald Cerrone winning the decision here. Right, moving ahead, the next bout on the main card is another lightweight fight. This between TJ Grant and Gray the Bully Maynard. And Dana White went ahead and announced about a month ago that the winner of this fight will receive a shot at the title. We all know how Dana keeps his promises about these number one contender fights, so take that with a grain of salt. But I'm probably more excited for this fight, honestly, than any other fight in the card besides maybe the title fight. But this is one of those fights where Honestly, I don't know what's going to happen, because TJ Grant has been on a tear at lightweight, knocking out Matt Wyman the way he did, beating up Evan Dunham, really blooding him up, and his Muay Thai has just made leaps and bounds since his days at welterweight. The cut to 155 has been really good to him, but at the same time, it's tough to look good against Gray Maynard. I mean, even Frankie Edgar had a really rough first couple of rounds. Their last 2 fights, even though he did go on to score the draw and the knockout victory. And I'm interested to see how Gray Maynard comes into this fight, because it's been almost a year since he's fought. And his last fight against Clay Guida, he was obviously very frustrated with that. So I'm wondering if he's going to overcompensate by being aggressive against an opponent who's going to bring the fight to him, and if that could get him in trouble. But I think what this is going to come down to is how well TJ Grant defends Gray Maynard's wrestling, because that is Gray Maynard's best weapon. Even though his striking has improved a lot, he does have a lot of power. But just looking at the way Grant has been fighting lately, if I'm Gray Maynard and I have that wrestling in my pocket, I'm not all that excited to go, to trade punch for punch or punch for elbow with TJ Grant. And, I think Maynard is going to be savvy enough that if he gets Grant down, he's not going to get caught in a submission off his back like Shane Roller did. But at the same time, if Grant is finding his range and gets Maynard to shoot for a sloppy takedown, or hurts him and gets him to shoot for a takedown, who knows. But at the end of the day, I think Gray Maynard's wrestling is going to be the main determinant here. And again, I think Maynard takes home a decision. Grant's a tough guy. I don't see him getting knocked out on the feet by Maynard, and I don't see him getting finished on the ground at all. But I have Gray Maynard taking a decision. And the next fight on the main card is a light heavyweight clash between Glover Teixeira and James Huna. And all I have to say for this fight is that for as long as it's going to last, I expect nothing but fireworks, because both guys hit hard, and odds are somebody's going to sleep in this fight. And I am leaning towards Glover Teixeira, just because if the stand-up is even, if they both have about a 50-50 chance of cracking one another, I think Teixeira has a little bit more of an arsenal as to how he can finish the fight. If he does drop to Huna, he's shown that he has the ability to transition from striking ground and pound to working submission, like he did against Kyle Kingsbury, or he could just simply fall him down on the ground and pound him out. He showed tremendous ground and pound against Fabio Maldonado. Fabio Maldonado just happens to be made of granite. And as far as Huna, he also has huge power, and if he connects flush, Teixeira could be the one taking a nap. But I'm a little worried about Huna just because he did get rocked and dropped by that head kick from Ryan Jimmo, and Jimmo just doesn't quite have the killer instinct it seems that Teixeira has. So, this fight could be a toss-up as far as who connects first. I expect the first round maybe have a little bit of a feeling out process just because both guys will respect each other's striking and be a bit tentative, and they will get into some exchanges. And I think the finish is going to come in the second round, and I do think that it's going to be Glover Teixeira, finding his range, connecting, and putting James Te Huna away with a series of strikes or submission on the ground. I'm going to call it strikes, so Glover Teixeira, TKO in the second round. And coming up next, the co-main event of the evening is that heavyweight fight between Mark Hunt and Junior Dos Santos. Dos Santos being former champion, I know that he is really going to want to take this fight to get back to hopefully getting another title shot against Cain Velasquez and trying to get his belt back that he worked so hard to get, ripping through 8 or 9 of the UFC's best en route to winning the title, versus Mark Hunt, who has completely turned his career around from being a 500 fighter and getting submitted by Sean McCorkle in the first round to winning 4 or 5 straight versus increasingly difficult competition. But that being said, I think the Mark Hunt ride stops here. Junior Dos Santos is an incredible striker in his own right. He might not have as much power as Mark Hunt, which is ridiculous to say because Dos Santos packs a lot of power. But I think he is the longer fighter. He's got about 3-inch reach advantage. So if he wants to work his longer strikes to try to keep Hunt at bay, to keep him from getting in and just landing that those overhands that he's busted so many chins with, I think he can do that. And we might see Junior Dos Santos more complete MMA game here. He's shown that he does have the ability to shoot for takedowns, and he does train with the Nogueira brothers. He is a black belt in jiu-jitsu under their team, and I could see him using his grappling as a way to win this fight because I think he's got a fairly good chin of his own. So if he can survive what Hunt might be throwing at him to get him for a takedown, then I think we might see that. We just might see a more diverse game from Junior Dos Santos to keep Mark Hunt guessing, knowing how hard it is to put Mark Hunt away. But I think Dos Santos is going to show his well-roundedness, and he wants to get back to that title. And I think if he has to take a few fewer risks against a guy like Mark Hunt who packs ridiculous power, then so be it. And I think he takes a decision here. And finally, we have the main event of the evening, that heavyweight title fight, the rematch between Cain Velasquez and Antonio Bigfoot Silva. And honestly, how does this fight end much different from their last fight? Aside from the unfortunate slip that got Silva on his back and Cain Velasquez pounding on him early in the fight, I don't think too much is going to change. Really, I think Silva's chance to win this fight is either to get on top of Cain Velasquez and rain down ground and pound, much like he did against Fedor Emelianenko, or at the very least have him pinned up against the cage, much like he did Overeem at the end of their fight, and wail away without Cain Velasquez having anywhere to move. But I just don't see that happening. Cain is too fast. He comes with too many skills, and I think it's going to look very similar to the last fight or Silva's fight with Daniel Cormier, where the faster hands are prevailing over the bigger, taller fighter. And if Velasquez does mix in a takedown or two, that could spell the end because whether or not Silva's going to be leaking blood like he did in the last fight, if Cain gets him down, Cain sets a relentless pace, and he does hit hard. And I don't know if Silva's going to be able to get off his back if Cain gets on top of him and starts raining down punches. And if he does, standing up with Cain is no picnic either. Junior Dos Santos found that out. So many other guys have. And, I just think Cain has too many tools for Antonio Bigfoot Silva to have more than a puncher's chance in this fight. So, the way I see it going, Cain just by faster hands early on in the fight. If he does mix in that takedown, he can finish him there, or he can finish him with stand-up strikes. But I have Cain Velasquez finishing this fight with a combination of punches, maybe some hammer fists on the ground in the first round. And as always, YouTube, thank you so much for watching my video. Once again, I'll be posting my entire fight card picks in the description below. And once again, if you're watching this, you'll enjoy my buddy Cascade Soldier's channel, and I'll have the link to his channel if and when he does get his picks for UFC 160 up. But once again, thanks for watching, and take care.